I had likely escaped something awful. I had always been a fan of browsing Craigslist for deals and finding unique items that I couldn't find anywhere else. One day I stumbled upon an ad for a vintage record player that was in perfect condition. I couldn't resist sending an email to the seller to inquire about it. To my surprise, the seller responded within minutes and we quickly began discussing the details of the item. The seller, who went by the name of Jack, seemed friendly and eager to make the sale. We agreed to meet up later that week at his apartment to finalize the purchase. I arrived at the apartment complex at the agreed-upon time and made my way to Jack's unit. As soon as I entered the apartment, I could tell there was something off about the place, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Jack welcomed me in and I noticed he had a strange energy about him. He was jittery and seemed nervous, but I brushed it off as him being an anxious person. I inspected the record player and was pleased to find that it was in even better condition than the pictures had shown. I was ready to make the purchase when Jack suddenly interrupted me, asking if I wanted to see something really cool that he had in the other room. Feeling a bit hesitant, I agreed to follow him. We made our way to a room at the back of the apartment. The room was filled with a ton of objects and things seeming to be just a collection of complete random. Jack pointed to a large trunk in the corner of the room and said that he had something inside that I might be interested in. As he opened the trunk, I was hit with a musty smell that made me feel lightheaded. Inside the trunk was an old tattered white sheet. I could tell something was under it, but I didn't care to see anymore. Sorry, the smell is just a lot. I turned my head and started walking back to the other room. He stood by the trunk, still calling me back to just take a quick look and saying that I wouldn't regret it. I was too shaken by the strange feelings to even stay. I ignored him and walked right out his door and out of the apartment complex. I was still extremely lightheaded and only seemed to be getting even more so. I stumbled to my car as fast as my feet could carry me. I got in and drove for maybe 20 seconds, barely getting out of the parking lot before I pulled to the side. I felt like I was going to pass out. And I must have, because a few minutes later I woke up. I was groggy and lightheaded, but I managed to drive further down the road and turn into a neighborhood where I pulled over and uncontrollably passed out again. This next part was harder for me to remember, but when I woke, it was darker outside and my head was foggy and unclear. I couldn't make out organized thoughts. Everything was just a blur. I somehow managed to drive home, and as the night went on, I slowly gained more consciousness. As soon as I was able to formulate my thoughts, I called the police. They got to the apartment and were allowed in, but Jack claimed that he had no such trunk and they never found one. Nothing progressed after that night, but I know something was off. Maybe I'm just paranoid and the smell was just a regular smell that made me freak out for some reason. But I'm pretty sure he had some type of narcotic gas coming from the trunk, and if I stayed much longer, I might have never made it out.